Hello, welcome back. This is Miniature Mike. I'm going to do another character review and comparison video for you today, and this one's going to be on Mercenaries. So Mercenaries, I don't really see people make squads with these very often, and even in the limited situations I've gotten to play over the last few years, literally no one uses Mercenaries, but for some strange reason I've always had an interesting fascination with them. I think some of them are kind of cool, and they're interesting, so I thought it would be fun to make a video about Mercenaries, get it out there so you can see what the options are in case you want to see what's good, what's not good, and what could you make a squad around. And there's quite a few. I think there's like 12 or 13 of these things. I won't spend too much time on each one, just because if it's interesting I'll talk about it, but a lot of them don't do too much. But let's get on into it. First one's first is the Duros Mercenary from Rebel Storm. So we're looking at 6 cost, 10 HP, 14 defense, 6 attack, and then 10 damage. This thing, unfortunately, is pretty rough. The reason why is because it has very similar stats to what you'd see on like a Stormtrooper, Rebel Trooper, but it costs more. It costs 1 extra, and I know it technically doesn't have the Mercenary special ability. I know technically it doesn't actually have it. However, when I don't know, I've typically said that when someone has Mercenary in their name, I typically just kind of errata and give them Mercenary special ability just because what the heck. I know that's technically incorrect, but whatever. Either way though, I'm not going to get into it too much. It's just got, standard HP, bad survivability. The attack is fine. It's actually pretty good attack for this level. And then regular damage. In terms of abilities, I didn't want to knock it too much because it doesn't have any, but everything's just kind of like poor, just kind of vanilla. It's not that good. Blue Milk is super down on this thing too. It has no pros. Similar stats, like a Stormtrooper, Rebel Trooper, but it costs more. So there's no reason to ever use this just because it's a ripoff. So that's all I gotta say. Mon Calamari Mercenary. This costs 10. You have 10 HP, 13 defense, 7 attack, 10 damage, but you have double attack this time. The hard thing with this guy is that your stats are that of like a 5 or a 6 costing character, maybe like a 5 costing character, but you cost 10, and because double attack is like doubling your cost, I think that's too much in this case. I think if he costs like 8, it'd be more interesting. So unfortunately you got, at this level, your HP, it'd be nice if it was 10 or 20, but it's not. Bad survivability. Your attack and damage outputs is actually quite decent for a 10. But then your special abilities, it's good to have double even at this level. Ability synergies, fine. Not very versatile. But overall, it's pretty poor. I think it's a little too fragile and costs too much to be worth anything. And it's also Mercenary, $1 on eBay. So nice to have double with good attack, but other stats are not good. Rhodian Mercenary. I actually, even though the overall rating turned out to be kind of poor, I think these things are actually kind of okay. They really are. So the Rhodian Mercenary costs 9, but this one has 20 HP, so you can survive 2 10 damage shots. 16 defense, that's really good. The attack of 4 is nice, damage 10, and then you have double, and now you actually have Mercenary special ability at Clone Strike. So again, overall it shook out to be poor in general, but hear me out a little bit. So the HP is actually pretty nice. So costing 9 and having 20 HP, it's on the better end. Half characters are going to have 20, half will have 10. So this has the survivability. And part of the survivability, it's not too bad either, because you have 16 defense is quite a lot on a character this cheap. So even though I didn't reflect that too well in the survivability section, I probably should have given it more credit for having that high of defense. But it is what it is. Part of the survivability is counteracted because you have Mercenary. You can get stuck in a jam and you can't move. So its attack though is a little poor. Having 4 isn't the best. Could be better. But your max damage is solid. Costing 9 and having double attack is nice. Special abilities, I think if you are going to have Mercenary, which gets you stuck, having double attack is good to have, because then at least it's something you can use effectively basically in accordance with the stipulations of Mercenary. So that's good. I say the versatility is fine. The synergy double goes well with Mercenary, and it's overall a fair character. Blue Milk is really low on it, 3.88. I don't think it's actually that bad for 3.88. I think Blue Milk should be more like in the 4s or 5s at least. But I do like it has good survivability. Only costs 9, but obviously poor attack. But it does have solid defense and has double attack, so that is okay. Next is the weak way mercenary. This is kind of a funny one. So it's cost 5. This guy's a melee mercenary though, which kind of doesn't matter that much. It really doesn't, but whatever. So you have 10 HP, 13 defense, 5 attack, and then 10 damage. So if I believe that correct, I believe that's the same. Yeah, I believe that is the same stats as a rebel trooper that costs 5, except the justification is this guy doesn't have ranged attack, but he has double attack instead. So overall, it's still pretty poor, but it's not like the end of the world. The HP is pretty standard. The survivability is bad overall. Your attack is actually solid. Like having 4 or 5 attack on this cheap of a character, that's actually pretty solid to have that. And then being able to do double attack at this cheap level 2, also pretty good. So there's that. But your ability synergy is fine. It's not very versatile because it's not ranged. You gotta kind of move it up and it'll probably get killed. There are much better grunts to use than this. And overall, I think when it comes to mercenaries, it's bad. It's whatever. Blue Milk's not high on it. It's pretty negative. So yeah, mercenaries not a big deal here. It's one of the cheapest characters that has double attack, so that's nice. But some of the cons are same stats as a ranged rebel trooper, and it's not. There's much better grunts. So yeah. Next, from Revenge of the Sith, we have the Chagrian Mercenary Commander. This one's pretty fun. It's not technically a mercenary, but because mercenary's in the name, I thought I'd include it. So he costs 13, 40 HP, 16 defense, 8 attack, 10 damage. So overall, it's actually pretty good. There's a lot of different interesting uses that can be helpful for it. So the HP is really good at 40. That's nice. The survivability, having 16 defense, it's actually pretty solid. For not having anything else to kind of go your way. So it is poor, but it's not the end of the world. Your attack, I'd say, is actually pretty good at 8. That's actually really good. So having 8 attack on a 13 is really nice. Check. Max damage of 10. Well, it would be nice if it could do a little bit more damage, but having 10, it's whatever. It's not going to be an offensive part of your game. You're going to focus more on the commander effect in this case. So I'll skip to that. It does have a good commander effect. However, its commander effect can be amplified when it's in the right squad. So each follower within 6 squares who gets a critical hit gets 20 damage. And you add the bonus damage after multiplying. So, okay, that's fine, but adding that plus 20 damage can be nice. So the way this guy works is he's got great stats, and he has a solid commander effect, but you want to make sure that this guy is being used in squads with deadly attack or vapid style or something like that. So, because that'll just greatly increase the probability of the commander effect even working. So, it is a good commander effect, but you need to use it in the right squad. And his commander effect's kind of boom or bust. It's not going to do anything until it happens, whereas a lot of commander effects are passive. This one is very specific, and I have made some fun squads. I've seen some fun squads where you're really kind of working on, like you put this guy, for example, with Luke Skywalker of Yavin. You can have all these attacks with deadly attack and flurry attack, and then this person can add a cherry on top and give you some bonus damage, which could be a lot of fun. So, not much else to say. A very solid commander and kind of fun. Let's move on to the next one, Human Mercenary. Not much to say here. Poor overall. It's just kind of like a generic 11 costing character that is whatever. So it's cost 11, 30 HP. 14 defense, 6 attack, 20 damage. So it actually has almost the same stats as like actually it's a little bit different stats than a elite clone trooper. But the elite clone trooper I think has 8 attack and this one doesn't. This one has a little less. And has mercenary, which is more of a bad thing than a good thing. So nothing really to say on this guy. The HP's fine, not good survivability, solid attack, pretty standard damage. It's just kind of a blank slate kind of shooter. Probably not the best. Probably pretty vanilla, not the best mercenary to use. There's better options. Alright, Nim. Nim doesn't have mercenary, but has mercenary commander effects. So I wanted to include him. I thought it would be a good point to be able to talk about Nim. So Nim overall is really good and really fun, but got some clear kind of good things and bad things going on here, sort of. Well, not too much. So Nim costs a lot. So Nim costs 48, which is pretty substantial to kind of keep that in mind. So the HP is really good. Having 100, or it's just solid actually. Having 100 HP on a ranged character that costs 50 that's pretty normal. But it is solid to have 100. Survivability though isn't great. You have no survivability powers except for 17 defense. So that's unfortunate. Your attack is pretty good of having 10. 10 attack at this level is pretty standard. That's good. And then your max damage is really good. Mostly, actually, I think it should be, well, no, that sounds pretty normal. So having max damage of 30 with double attacks, so that's 60 damage. A lot of guys at this level, a lot of shooters, they'll typically have double attack and cunning or something like that. So it is really good damage, but there are a lot of other characters that can do it similarly, but it's good. So I'll leave it at that. Your special abilities, though, are awesome. This is the fun thing with the Nim. Such a variety of powers. Good really great versatility, honestly, because you have Disruptive. So if you get close enough, enemy commander effects are turned off. Double attack with all that damage and attack is nice. Grenades 40, that's a lot. Having grenades 40 is pretty fun. So if there's a situation to really kind of blow up a group, or maybe they have like higher than 20 defense, they could be better to use grenades 40 in that situation. So that's fun. Repour, so you get cheap mercenary characters are cheaper. And then Recon is also definitely a great power to have, just to be able to have a little bit better initiative control. And then Recon could be nice because if you have mercenaries out in the open that can't move, if you win initiative, they can at least go. They can at least go and do things and fight before they die. So that could be helpful in that sense. And then your commander effect is non-unique followers with mercenary within 6 squares gain double attack. So yeah, I mean, no other unique characters followers have mercenary, basically. So this is a great power to give to mercenaries because with mercenary, if you can target an enemy, you basically can't move. So if you're not going to move anyway, you might as well do more. So this is a great way to help alleviate the pain of having mercenary. So definitely when it comes to commander effect, I think it's a really good commander effect for mercenaries for what it's for, but because it is very limited to them, it's not like the greatest commander effect ever. And then mercenary score, I think I gave him an awesome. I think this is the best, mercenary archetype character. It's nice that Nim doesn't actually have mercenary, or else that'd be kind of rough, but Nim's really good. Got a good variety of things going on, so Nim's not even too expensive to pick up either. Pros, greatly helps out mercenaries, great assortment of powers, and then you can dish a lot of damage too. And then the cons, kind of poor survivability, unfortunately, but some characters have it, some don't. Trandoshan Mercenary, so an interesting one in this case. I kind of like what they're going for special abilities wise, but the stats don't let it kind of come to fruition. So you cost a 9, 20 HP, 15 defense, 4 attack, 20 damage. Overall it's poor, and we'll get into why. Your HP is pretty standard at 20. Your survivability is poor. It just is. I mean, I don't even count regeneration because you're probably going to get shot with 20 damage and you're done. So I don't think, and then you have mercenaries. Well, I don't think regeneration even plays a role at all when you have HP of 20. It's just a useless power at that point. Your attack is fine at 4. It would be nice if it was a bit higher though. It could be worse. Your your damage potential is technically pretty high, but you could do, 50 damage? However, there's a lot of stipulations. You have to be adjacent, not move. You have to hope, both attacks hit. So it kind of makes it a little tricky in that case. So while it is actually excellent damage for being a 9, you're never going to pull it off. So I figured I won't bump it up too much. The ability synergy is bad. These powers don't go well together. They're undermined by the HP being so horrible. Regeneration is worthless, double claw attack is worthless, mercenary kills everything. Because if you want to use double claw attack and rend, you have to get next to the enemy. But you can't get next to the enemy if you can't get to them, but you can see them. So it's just this, the Trandoshan Mercenary, in my opinion, is a nightmare of a character. For some reason, Blue Milk gave it a 5.05. I think it's worse than that. I think this is actually one of the most, self-defeating characters in the entire game, unfortunately, because mercenary ruins it all, and then the HP also ruins everything too. So it's super unfortunate. So overall mercenary score, it's poor. I was trying to be nice and not say it was bad because it does have a lot of fun powers, but yikes! It's a melee brawler. The pros, high damage potential in melee, but the cons, the mercenary power kind of prevents you from ever even getting in melee. Maybe if someone comes up to you, but they might as well just snipe you before that. But your low HP makes a lot of the powers just fruitless. So, pretty terrible character, unfortunately. But It will get a little bit of redemption, and there are two of these. There's the Alliance and Empire one, and I believe there's one in the Legacy of the Force Pack 2, so it did get a reprint. The Godel Mercenary. Now this is a nice this is a really fun mercenary, and one that I think would be fun to pair with the likes of Nim or the Mercenary Commander. So this guy overall is really good. You have cost 13, 30 HP, 14 defense, 7 attack, and 20 damage, which is nice instead of so many of them have 10. So your HP is good. Your survivability ranged is actually really nice, and you have a few reasons why. All three of your powers help. So you have evade, which is going to be great because if you're going to be stuck in the open, at least you can avoid attacks or avoid damage. Intuition. So I believe, please correct me in the comments, I haven't been able to get a clear answer on this. However, I'm pretty sure you can do intuition, once per round after an initiative is determined. This character can immediately move up to speed before any other character activates. I think I kind of thought, well, does that mess with Mercenary? And I'd love to get your clarification, because whether it does or not, it doesn't really matter. If it does, it makes it a little less good, but if it doesn't, then it's really powerful. From what I understand, you can use intuition even if you have Mercenary, because you're not actually doing your turn. Whereas with Mercenary, when you're doing your turn and you can see a character, you cannot make an attack from his starting place. When you're doing intuition, it's not your turn in per se where you can you could attack or you can move. So please correct me in the comments. I want to make sure I understand that correctly, because it's one of those few details that I've always been a little bit murky on, but I'm pretty sure you can use them independently. But that being the case, your attack is really good at 7. That's nice. Your max damage is 20. That's just normal. Your special abilities are great. Your abilities synergize fantastic together, which is really, really fun. A lot of times that doesn't always work out, especially when Mercenary is holding you down. And then your versatility is pretty good too, because you have intuition and evade. You can survive better. Overall, I think this is one of the better mercenaries. It's a tactical mercenary. Your pros is you have extremely tactical with intuition and evade. Intuition is a good workaround for mercenary, potentially. And then your cons, you don't really have any major cons for being a 13. It's just a good character overall and has nice powers to work with. So definitely a fun mercenary. And this mercenary would work awesome, like I said, with those other commanders, because intuition and evade are going to work great when you get double attack and Deadeye and all that kind of stuff. So Human Soldier of Fortune from Clone Wars. It's solid. It's just a solid 14 shooter. Costs, it's good. It costs 14, 40 HP, 17 defense, 8 attack, and 20 damage. The survivability, it's poor, but it's not the worst, because 17 defense is actually pretty solid, but you do have Mercenary. Your attack is really good at 8. That's nice. Your damage is standard, but you do get Deadeye, and you'll probably almost always use Deadeye. Almost. Unless you move and shoot, of course. But Deadeye definitely helps the damage problem, or the Mercenary problem a little bit, so that's nice. It has good damage. And the special abilities are fine. Having Deadeye definitely helps with the stats you got, and Mercenary's not ideal. And then it's kind of, versatility's fine, ability synergy's fine. Overall, I gave it a 3. Blue Milk is right on the money with what I believe too. It's just a solid shooter. Good stats, really good stats actually. And Deadeye helps a little bit, but it is kind of bland. Definitely a lot better than I feel like this replaces the Human Mercenary. It's kind of the same thing, you could say, but it's just much better stats, less bland, and more useful. Just solid overall. The Chiss Mercenary. This one at first I thought was really great, but the more I dig into it, I don't think it's really as great as you think it is. Overall, it's good. Cost 14, so same as the Human Mercenary. But in this case, you have 15 defense, 6 attack, and 30 damage. So really the main difference between this and the other one is you got a little bit worse stats in terms of defense and attack. However, this one can move and use the 30 damage, so you could move into position, shoot with the 30, whereas the other one has to wait and then use the 30. I kind of almost like the other one more, just for having a little bit better attack and defense. You have 2 more of each, 2 more defense, 2 more attack, and instead you have to sit and shoot to get the 30 damage. I think that might actually be better than for the Chiss Mercenary, but that's my opinion. Overall, though, you don't have anything helping you survivability. Your attack's good. Your max damage is pretty good with 30. In this case, you get it for every shot. Your special abilities, though, it's poor having Mercenary. For versatility and synergy is fine all around. And again, I gave this one a 3, kind of like the other one. It's a good mercenary. Blue Milk is, again, very similar to the Human Soldier of Fortune, just a few differences with stats. And I might prefer the Human Soldier of Fortune personally. It's just me. So next one, Mercenary Commander from Imperial Entanglements. And believe it or not, there's quite a few. I think there's a couple more to go over. Overall, this guy's pretty good. Costs 24, 50 HP, 16 defense, 7 attack, and 20 damage. So the hit points on this guy is solid. It's a little below normal, but it's very solid. Your survivability isn't great because you have Mercenary, unfortunately, but you don't have any other powers. And then your attack, it's also poor. A lot of shooting guys that cost 24. By this time, they typically are going to have more attack. They might be like an 8 or 9. So the attack isn't bad. It's just kind of like a little underpowered. Your max damage is really, it's kind of odd. So your max damage really depends on using Furious Assault, because this character can't replace turn, move double speed, and then can basically shoot every legal target once. That's actually pretty dang good. That can be a really big damage output, so I wanted to keep that in mind. Special abilities, you do have Deadeye, so once you are stuck in place, because you can make an attack from your starting space. Once that occurs, Deadeye is nice to get around it, but Furious Assault is really, really, really fun power to kind of make it work around. So I thought it was pretty good. Ability synergy is fine. Versatility, so the abilities are better for synergy than they are. He's less, I'd say less versatile. He kind of just has a couple things he specializes in. The commander effect, though, I think is really good. So the thing I like about this guy is Nim and Mercenary Commander's effects, Nim and the Mercenary Commander's commander effects, they go well together because, what do mercenaries struggle with? Well, they get stuck. And to help fix that, you can make them better. You can give them double attack. This one gives Deadeye and Furious Assault. So it's kind of fun where you get a little bit, your mercenaries can get a little bit better. They can move a little bit better. So instead of getting stuck in one spot you don't want them in, maybe they can go a little bit farther. They can get closer to an enemy. Maybe they can just get into a better position that you want them in. And then when they get stuck, they can get Deadeye, which is really helpful. And then they could get other powers if you choose to use Nim. So either way, it's fine. It's really good overall. Definitely, if you're going to use this, you have to use it with mercenaries. And that's basically it. So the cons, kind of underwhelming stats a little bit, but definitely crucial if you want to make mercenaries a little bit better. So this one is actually the last one, so I was wrong. So the Trandoshan Elite Mercenary, in my opinion, it's basically this one and the Godel Mercenary, which are kind of the two that you really want to use for the most part. This one costs 17, 50 HP, 17 defense, 7 attack, and 20 damage. So this one is basically fixes the problems of the regular Trandoshan Mercenary. In this case, your HP is pretty good. You got 50 at 17. That's really nice. Your survivability now is actually quite decent because you have better defense, and then now you have the hit points to be able to benefit from regeneration. Whereas before you just didn't. You get shot once and you're gone. Now you can. Your attack is pretty good. Your max damage output is really, really fantastic. And I like it more this time because even though you can still have trebles with Mercenary, if you use this character with a Mercenary Commander, they can rush. Like Mercenary is still a problem, but you can at least rush the enemy. You can do attacks. But if you get into the melee situation, now you have Ren 10 still, you still have double claw attack, but now you have Mighty Swing, so you can up that damage up to 70, which is a lot of damage. Still, there's a lot of stipulations around making it happen, but it's pretty deadly. And then your HP and regeneration is going to make it a little bit more worthwhile. Ability synergy, these abilities, they all synergize very well together. I'm a little more forgiving on this one because it has better defense and survivability, but you still got that mercenary problem. Overall, I give it a great mercenary score. 7.1 is pretty fair. And then it's a brawler mercenary. So the pros, it fixes the sins of the original Trandoshan mercenary, and then it has the HP to utilize the regen and the brawl. And then for cons, the mercenary can still kind of get in the way of brawling still, technically. But I think it's easier to work around it when you have more going for you. So last place, Duros Mercenary, garbage. Mon Calamari Mercenary, pretty much garbage. Although double attack's kind of fun. Rhodian Mercenary, kind of nice with the stats, but still struggles. Human Mercenary is no good. Trandoshan Mercenary, which I actually think is the most frustrating one, is not good either. Then you get the Weak Way Mercenary, which kind of should be worse, but it is pretty cheap and does have double attack, but whatever. Chiss Mercenary, big jump up as you can see. Now we're into the range where like it's solid, got good damage potential. The Chagrian Mercenary Commander, very solid as well. Nice for probably not mercenary squads, but better for deadly attack squads. Human Soldier of Fortune's very solid too. Mercenary Commander, pretty helpful. We just went over him. And then the really good ones, the Trandoshan Elite Mercenary and the Godel Mercenary, probably the two mercenaries you really want to use if you're doing a mercenary squad. You could probably justify maybe the Chiss or the Human Soldier of Fortune too. And then last is Nim, really solid character. So here's all the stats. They're really small, so if you have a big screen, definitely need to zoom in. But want to put these all up here for you. Just a variety of options. There's Brawler Mercenaries and Mercenary Commanders, Melee Mercenary, Tactical Mercenary, Power Shooter Mercenary. Definitely a lot of fun options, so I'll leave it here. Anyway, until next time, guys, please like, subscribe, definitely comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts on all these different mercenaries. A lot of garbage ones, but some really fun options going on here too. So with that said, until next time, have a good one.